Greetings and happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, Ramadonica to each and every one of you out there. I'm Scott Schertzen alongside Mr. Kyle Krieger, Mr. Obi Spencer, and of course, Mr. Brandon Kaye. And this is the Sports Den on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250. Kindly make sure to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. And one more thing, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Gentlemen, how we doing? And boy, do we got a lot of stuff.
Wild weekend.
In many fronts. I have a whole litany of things over on the side here. I've got images set up. I got the whole shebang. I don't know what order you want to go into. We can talk World Cup, referees. We've got some deals that happened in Major League Baseball with Japanese imports. We can talk about the biggest come-from-behind second-half victory in NFL history is in there. Obi, you might have some stuff to go into as well, I think, possibly. So what do you want to start with?
Let's start. I'd like to start with that comeback, since that's how the weekend started, if you will.
All right. And, I kind of agree with you on that.
So I think I come on the show week in, week out, whenever it is, and show my love for the offensive lineman. Jeff Saturday is one of, if not my favorite football player of all time. I thought he deserved to win the MVP in the Super Bowl, the Indy one. But his time as a coach has to come to an end. I cannot blame players for that. You can't put your players in a position to lose that kind of lead. That is on Jeff Saturday, and it hurts. I mean, that's probably the best thing that happened to Matt Ryan all day up on that screen. So,
Ryan didn't have a bad day. I mean, what was it? 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not terrible. I mean, his passing yards weren't great, but you still, at the end of the day, you still put up 36 points. So you can't really put it on the offense when you put that kind of numbers up.
Yeah, I think when you get that many points and there comes a time when, if you look at the game script, if you had just run the ball for 1 yard into the line of scrimmage and let the 45-second clock run out every play, you would have been better off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I put this on Jeff Saturday. I put the Super Bowl a lot on the coaches as well, although Ryan did have a sack fumble that he probably could have avoided. But, yeah, these kind of games, these kind of comebacks, as much as it takes everything to go wrong, but really that's where a coach has to prove that they're a good coach.
Or even an adequate coach.
I just have a question, though.
Please.
To Obi. Who was the coach of the Colts when they went up 33-0?
Going up, scoring 33 points is great. Then in the first half, then you should have scored 66. Because however he decided to maintain that lead didn't work. And I understand he was the one who got him up that much. But that's where you have to find a way to keep your guys engaged as the coach. That's on the coaching. Making calls that take advantage of your best friend when you're up 33-0, which is the clock. Those things fall on the coach at managing that entire situation. He got them halfway there. And you can say that about any game that anybody blows in any situation. But a large lead in football, I think that's one of those places where coaches truly earn their money. And you usually don't see it, right? Because most coaches don't blow them. But when a big lead like that gets blown, I think it falls on the coach more than any player.
My question.
And like I said,
go ahead.
Jeff Saturday was one of my all-time, if not my all-time favorite football player. Amazing ball player. So it hurts me to say that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Matt Ryan, I got the official stat, 19 for 33, 182, 1 touchdown. But at the same time, he didn't really have to put up a lot in the second half, really, because when you're up at this point 33-0 in the first half, you can pretty much turn it over to the running game. But, like I said, if you see the numbers at the top there, all Indy in the first half, all Minnesota in the second half. It's sad, but you look at Matt Ryan, you look at what's happened to him in his career. And this is a big question I really want to ask you guys. We had this conversation once before about him when he left Atlanta, about the question about whether he's Hall of Fame worthy. And I'm going to pull up a couple of stats for you because I want to see how you guys feel about it. Because he's put up statistically really good numbers for his career. Oop, fix that right there. And I wanted to see how you guys think about this, whether or not actually it would make sense to actually try and get him to come in, and whether he's worthy of that kind of an honor. Let me zoom this out a little bit. Because if you look at the numbers here, this is the all-time passing numbers. He is currently 7th per ESPN in this particular case. He is going to very likely pass Phillip Rivers this season. He's got an outshot shot of actually passing Ben Roethlisberger for 5th all-time right now. Brett Favre, probably not, but he could break Phillip Rivers probably the next couple of weeks. And if he has a good rest of the season, has the possibility of going 5th all-time in passing yards. What do you think?
So I think, number one, I remember us having this conversation when Phillip Rivers was still ahead of Roethlisberger, and I'm saying, well, Roethlisberger's going to pass him. And by the time you get your eligibility, are you still in the top 5? Are you still in the top 10? Mm-hmm. And now it gets even more complicated because now you're adding an extra game every season. So these things are obviously very fluid. It is. I am kind of on we let too many quarterbacks into the Hall of Fame anyway. Mm-hmm. He's right on the cusp. Like, he has some really bad things that have gone on with him, and he's had some great seasons as well. To me, he's right on the cusp, and it's going to might matter where he ends up when all is said and done for his career, and other guys have those extra games and where they end up. How I'll feel about him the year he's eligible.
Go ahead, Brandon, please.
I would have a hard time putting Matt Ryan in. Like, if I'm walking down the hall, let's just say walking down and looking at all the quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, and I see Matt Ryan, my first reaction would be like, you know what I mean? Like, it really is hesitant. So and if I had the option to vote, I probably would pick no. But like he would be like the best to like not make. Like, he would be in that tier of quarterbacks. I feel like I wouldn't be mad if he were voted in, but I would be surprised if he was when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I am. He is one of those borderline cases at best. I think the only way he's going to be in the Hall of Fame is having his name on the receiving end of the 2 worst comebacks in NFL history.
So
it's a combined 61-3 blown lead.
Yeah. It's like he would be a poster child of a Hall of Shame quarterback.
And he will be remembered more for these 2, well, especially the Super Bowl lead blow, more than winning the MVP.
Yeah. Until someone else breaks those really painful records, he's going to be tied to those. Kind of like how Mark Sanchez is tied to the butt fumble. It's like how any of those memorable blunders are remembered. He's going to be on the receiving end of that, unfortunately.
So here's
the guy is cursed.
The other thing is he's got more great negative storylines than great positive storylines.
Yes.
And, one of the things I always think about when you look at the start of a football season or throughout the season, you're like, there's only 4 or 5 quarterbacks who you put them on your team and you instantly go playoff team. I mean, right now, I would argue that there's 2 because 2 guys have fallen off and I don't think they're coming back. And 2 guys who I think are going to get there aren't there yet. Matt Ryan was never a guy I was like, he's on my team, I'm going to playoffs. He's on my team, I have a good shot. I'm still going to need a running game or the defense to pick it up. But he was never put him on the team. We're playoff bound. We're probably going to the Super Bowl.
So here's a question. Suppose, hypothetically speaking, they don't blow that lead and they do beat the Patriots and his career, say, ends after 1 year in Indianapolis. Would you be more inclined to say yes because he did get the 1 Super Bowl ring?
Inclination more, yes.
Yes.
But he also wouldn't have.
But you're not sold.
I don't think he would. I think he would have retired a Falcon had he won.
Yes.
So I think not that switching teams hurts your case. because we've seen guys of every position do that and
Name
still
it,
be in the
Montana,
Hall of Fame.
yeah.
Peyton Manning.
It's just it leans more towards the whole kind of narrative of his career. And I think for every player that needs to be looked at a little bit differently because every player's situation is different. But as is, it's tough for me to give it the go.
Sure.
I put Matt Ryan in this group with Phillip Rivers, with
Tony Romo,
some other guys, and you'll all have your own names of who are there, who are really good quarterbacks or NFL quarterbacks, deserve to start every year in their career, deserve not to be threatened by their backup. But that doesn't mean you're a Hall of Famer. The one guy who's like that, who I think deserves the Hall of Fame, has a below 500 career record, but he won 2 Super Bowls, and that's Eli, and it's the 2 Super Bowls. Like that's the, and he's in that same tier. He should have been a starter every year. There was no, this guy shouldn't start for your team. The backups, no. He's an
But
NFL quarterback.
It's not only the Super Bowls. He has moments. He has those passes, regardless of if you want to say the luckiness of the helmet catch. That second pass to Mario Manningham in the second Super Bowl. That come on.
Right.
I mean, even the escapability to make the David Tyree throw. That whole escaping the jersey pull, moving out of the pocket, like he created the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Matt Ryan doesn't have those moments, at least not on the big stage.
Hall of Fame in any sport is built on moments. Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame because of a moment. He was not the MVP of that game by any stretch.
No, he was not.
There are moments and careers.
Yes.
You need something of a combination of both.
I mean, just to clarify, Obi, because you're talking about my guy here. Eli did not have a sub 500 record. He had a 500 record. So technically he did not have a losing record. He didn't have a winning record.
Apologies. That's
okay.
right. He had that.
Hey,
apologies.
You know what? We never would know if he started the Geno Smith game. That never happened.
Yeah,
that one game,
that, by the way,
could it have been over or under? I mean, that could have changed the whole.
Who decided to start Geno Smith that day?
Oh, that's my guy, Ben McAdoofus.
Just waiting for it. But yeah, it was funny because with Eli, he also played on some really terrible teams. Where I was looking today, and you guys know this. Obi, I sent you the video. Today is the 12-year anniversary of Miracle of the Meadowlands 2, where the Eagles came back from 21 points down in the at 7:43 left in the game to tie the game up, and then have Deshaun Jackson run a 65-yard punt back for a touchdown. Broke my heart. I listened to the radio call of that in just sheer disbelief. But in this game, he still threw 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and had a better game than Michael Vick. But you put up, in this case, 31 points, and you still lose anyway, because that's unfortunately how sometimes things go. And yesterday being an example of that, the Colts over the weekend, the Colts put up 36 points, and then just nothing came out of it.
And back to that game, that was, before the kick, the TV announcer's like, "Oh, there is no way this ball's going to Deshaun Watson. You can't take that chance, right?" Bad coaching causes these cuts. Like, you always have to make the decision where this ball goes over there. This guy, you don't give him a chance to do that, but it goes to that. I have a question for you, Scott. Which was, in your mind, a bigger heartbreak? And I think you're going to choose the punt return we just talked about. And I may get the details of this other one wrong, but it was a Giants-Eagle game. It was a defensive, ugly game, and Michael Westbrook did a very similar thing to the Giants, which, by the way, I think turned both teams' seasons around. I always thought, like, you talk about moments. That was a moment that turned the Eagles' season around. But do you remember that punt as well, that punt return? I don't remember the touchdown or just like a 50 or 60-yard return.
I do remember that one. Yeah, the Westbrook one can't hold a candle, I don't think. Because in this case here, that loss is the big reason why the Giants missed the playoffs that year too.
Yes.
They had it nearly locked down in a must-win game between both teams, because both teams at the time were 9-4. So they're going head-to-head, and you blow a lead like that close, and it derails the limited amount of season that you have left. Having it done at home in December, raucous crowd, division rival, New Jersey Turnpike rival, and to lose like that, and to have Deshaun Jackson, come down and then just run parallel to the end zone half to burn off the rest of the clock, half to just revel in the moment, and then finally going in there. And Joe Buck put it best when he was, if you listen to it, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And that's pretty much what summed it up. Although a Giant Nation probably throw an F-bomb in the middle of that. But like I said, I remember I was on the road and I was listening to Bob Papa, and I just how deflated he was in that call. I've tried to find the call since. I can't, but it was just so beyond brutal, and for me, that's the miracle of the Meadowlands that I remember. And when I did that video earlier and I put that thing up, that video was unbridled pain to basically edit because it reminded me so much of what I had to go through 12 years ago.
That call ranks up there with some of the best defeated announcer calls ever. Along with the no. Back in, I'm trying to remember which game it was, but I remember there was an announcer that basically just
Harold would have done that.
It sounded. I think it was
Chicago?
Yeah, it was either Chicago or Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like a last second play, just backbreaker, game losing play.
Well,
speaking of game losing plays,
plays, yes. Brandon, give me a second here.
God, I can't. Oh.
That is.
I wish this play took place years ago. I would have used this as my bar mitzvah video montage. Like, this might be my favorite play ever.
Well, yeah, and in your case, the fact that basically it happened to a team that you straight hated.
But it was not even the play itself and who it involved. It affects my team as well. So I do have that, that skin in the game as well.
Yeah. All right, Brandon.
But that's really that's the bonus.
There.
Oh.
First off, that legit might be the most disrespectful stiff arm I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right,
that's going to be on a poster.
Here's the deal. We can get into the whole, take a knee. Why did you do that? Just go into overtime, play the. We're not going to talk about this. We're just going to talk about this for a second here. Chandler Jones caught the ball and stiff arm Mac Jones into the ground as if he were offended they share the same last name. Completely steamrolls him.
That's rough.
And trots into the end zone for a game-winning play. And yes, it sends the Patriots to 7-7, tied with the Jets in the wild card standings, still above them with the actual tiebreaker. So like I said, it does. I do have some skin in this game from that standpoint. But my God, I could watch this on replay.
Here's the question.
The reason is it's the most un-Patriots thing to happen to them. And the fact that it happens in such a situation like this against Josh McDaniels, the Patriots, the Belichick tree, the disciples, which he usually owns. I mean, this was poetic justice, and I loved every second of it. I think we got to check that. Is Mac Jones up? I mean, is he still on the ground? Like, God damn,
may have gotten buried.
Jesus.
I will give Jones credit. He got in the way of the play. He tried, but that's what's his name trying to block Ray Lewis. It just did not work.
But see, here's the thing: it wasn't anything he did wrong. 100%.
No.
But this picture doesn't really do Mac Jones justice. I mean, granted, he's just plowed right into the ground. But the lateral that happened, did Jacoby Meyer forget what the score was?
He forgot everything. Forgot everything.
Yeah.
The score, the time, the zeros on the clock.
He received the first lateral, and I think his mind went blank. Oh no, we are in. Everyone needs. I do believe that's what happened. He gets the ball lateral to him, by Stevenson, and then he thinks, whatever I thought the situation was, It isn't. We need to score. This is the last play to like. That's what I think happened. That has happened to me in a sporting situation where I thought one situation was going on. I was right. Somebody did something, and I said, "Oh, that means something else has gone on." And fortunately, our team still won, and it wasn't as horrible as that. But that does happen. Like you did the mental math, and then why do you do that? And
It's
you
almost
just
like
kick
I got
into-
muscle memory in the moment. You know,
Yeah.
you see a lateral and you immediately start thinking the next step without logically putting it all together here.
right.
You know, it's just unconscious reaction.
That's what I think happened to him, and that's why he
Mhm.
took responsibility. I think he knew the situation going into the play. The ball got lateral to him, and his brain shut down. And muscle memory is the best thing I can think of.
Mhm.
Oh, it's time for backup, which you can. I don't know if that's coaching, not coaching. Like the first lateral is probably the mistake that sets off the second lateral,
Mhm.
and Mac Jones is the winner of it. Like the best thing that could happen to Mac Jones here is Chandler Jones' finger gets caught in his face mask and Chandler Jones falls down. And he goes, that is just brutal. That's brutal.
I'm surprised he didn't try and kick him like he did last year to
I
think it
think
was-
he
I think
did
it was
try to
Baker.
kick him, and that's why Jones smashed him into the ground. Like he ain't gonna get to kick me. I'm throwing him in the ground. 'Cause this view doesn't. He crumpled. He got in the way. Went whack.
That's just squashed.
Well, here's the thing in this case. Mathematically, they still have a shot. Last year, the Patriots went into the playoffs at 10-7. So who knows? They might have lost in overtime here. They could still pull this off, but they got the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills coming up their last 3 games. You're not going to go 3-0 in that kind of situation.
Not 3-0, but none of those games are automatic losses.
Yeah, but you're at a point where you can't have a loss. 9-8
Yeah.
is not going to get it done in this league.
No, but
Yeah.
it's
yeah, but you're also
it is not a
playing
0%
teams-
chance.
Yeah, but they're also going to be going up against teams that can't afford a loss either.
Yes.
And are flat out better than the Patriots.
Yeah. Now the Patriots,
So
by the way,
I don't. Yeah, no, that's not a good recipe for success moving forward the rest of the season. But Jack, man, it just looks personal.
That image is going to be on a poster in someone's room.
it probably already is. It might be on you might have a T-shirt like on Redbubble by now.
It's in their locker room. Absolutely, it's in the
I got
the Vegas locker room. That's for damn sure.
Probably, yeah.
Are we sure, Scott?
I
that
gotta order
9 wins
one.
isn't going to get us in.
Well, see,
Let's-
7 losses was kind of the plateau last year.
last year.
So I'm going.
Absolutely.
Listen, we've only done a 17 season, or 17 game season once. So last year the Steelers got in at 9-7-1. So that's the lowest level of all the teams. So I'm still believing in my mind that 10-7 can still pull it off. Maybe at some point, maybe this year it'll miss, but I think 10-7 is a feasible goal to get into the playoffs. Now, according to playoffstatus.com, the Patriots, by the way, Brandon, I'm looking right at you. The Patriots' chances at getting into the playoffs now has dropped down to 13%.
Lucky.
Which is, I think, still better than the Jets.
No, it's not.
No,
No,
because they still have better they still have better Super Bowl odds, which I don't get.
The Jets.
but
Well,
that's
the Jets are currently sitting at 23% to get in, which isn't much better. But I figured, basically, given your contempt for all things Patriots and Belichick, the fact that they have an 87% chance of missing the playoffs might have made you happy.
They have Cincy, Miami, Buffalo in that order.
They have the Bengals at home, the Patriots, the Dolphins at home, and then they're playing the Bills on the road.
Well, that Bills game might be a give me.
It might be a garbage game, yes, but still, I mean,
Well, they play. So okay. Well, I know Buffalo and Cincy play, I think, in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, with a loss coming from one of those teams, the Patriots are not in a favorable position by any chance. Even with the win yesterday, yes, they are, but like even still, then you still have to go again 3-0 against these last 3 teams, and that's win or loss yesterday. That's really that has to be probably the hardest remaining schedule.
It could be,
if not one of the 2 or 3.
Out of curiosity, who was credited for the interception on that play?
It's considered Jones gets a credit for a fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery, even though it was well in the air and he caught it.
It's officially considered a lateral, so it falls into the
aerial fumble.
Yeah, the most aerial interception fumble probably ever.
That was a straight up pass. That was
Yeah.
very ill advised. Even on a flea flick play, you don't do you don't do that.
No, it's a much. Yeah, no, that was I got a total, and who he was throwing it to was also
Right.
like
On first glance, it didn't look like he was throwing to Mac Jones at all.
He threw back like 20 yards. That was like a 20-yard pass in the wrong direction.
Well, also I think Meyer just doesn't have the experience when it comes to throwing like that. Because a lot of times when you see a wide receiver throw the ball, you can tell they don't have the skill set.
Yeah, well,
that's
Belichick has used Myers for like Wildcats, reverse option where he's thrown the ball. I just don't. I think it really could be just the shock of the situation, not expecting the first lateral from Stevenson. Because Belichick or whoever has to go into that huddle, be like, listen, we just take a knee, run out the clock, we'll go to overtime. But then Stevenson takes off, gets the first down, fine. Take a knee then. You got the first down, and then
just drop.
But then he just went rogue. And then it was just the domino effect of what happened. Topped by the greatest play in NFL history.
A beautiful domino effect.
Well, I'll tell you, as a Jet fan, I do think the butt fumble has been surpassed. If this can get a good name, it will put the butt fumble to rest for a little bit.
The thing with the butt fumble, that happened on a game that everyone was pretty much watching. So while the butt fumble is just
Thanksgiving.
Players run into linemen all the time. It just happened to be in probably the second greatest spotlight for an NFL game that isn't the Super Bowl. So that's why I think the butt fumble is always elevated so high. It was in such a spotlight that everyone remembers it.
We talked before about moments.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. It's like that. That is Matt Sanchez's moment. Unfortunately, it was quite the negative.
Yeah, but I think it's also it's an innocent one that we've talked about that before
yeah.
too.
Oh, absolutely.
This hurts the Patriots more than butt fumble hurts.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, Brendan.
Absolutely. In a when it comes to like the actual effect, this play is definitely worse than the butt fumble. But in terms of spotlight and knowledge,
and also because the word butt is quite literally in there, so all us guys who sit there like hey, butts.
The other part is this happened the same weekend as what we just discussed, the greatest comeback in NFL history, and of course, and with Matt Ryan at the center of it. So it's like that actually ends up being a larger headline. So it's
it's a larger headline, but
in terms of effect,
in terms of what you can put on TV, you're going to be this play can be put on TV for blooper reels, etc., etc.
Yes.
Whereas, so that part, but yes, I think that the biggest issue that the butt fumble has is it's the butt fumble. Like Scott says, the
butts in it. It makes you laugh.
Right. If this gets a cool name, Jones on Jones violence, you might get it.
That actually is a good title for this. That's a good caption for this image.
Jones on Jones violence. Then again, could it be the Patriots are still being haunted by the Philly special? It's like they keep trying it and they keep messing it up.
Well, Tom Brady was probably going to get into the playoffs with the worst record he's ever had, but we can talk about that.
The scariest part.
I don't know. You see the way my boy Sam Darnold is playing in Carolina, despite Ben McAdoofus.
Yeah, you credit there. You got to give Ben McAdoo some love there, man. All right. So we got a plethora of things we can still go through. World Cup, refereeing in the NFL. Brandon, I know you got some talk about that. Obi, you got some stuff. Also, basically monster contracts in MLB, and also Japanese imports. So the 5 topics I've got left, we may not get to them all, but gentlemen, what do you want to pick?
Well, we're still in the NFL, so we can do the referees, finish off the NFL, and then move up to the other football.
Yeah, we're going right with it.
Oh God!
Oh, that's not pass interference at all. Clearly.
Thank you for the piggyback ride.
Exactly.
He was. He basically did what Chandler Jones did to Mac. He was shoving him onto the ground. He
Really?
was using him to spring vault over Curtis Samuel to block. I mean, like, I don't understand what these refs are doing.
There's less contact in rugby.
And let's also the Terry McLaurin, whether he was in a legal formation or not. This whole thing, it's just another Monday, or if this was a Thursday night game, another Friday where we're talking about officials and controversies rather than the actual gameplay. Because it was an exciting game, albeit. It's just we're now talking about these situations here. If I were the NFL, look, I wouldn't let these guys ref another game ever. It's just.
But they're protected by the union, so it's much like Angel Hernandez in MLB.
Then you know what? Then there's got to be some lockout negotiations over this. Why are the refs got to be unionized? You work 17 days a year. You don't need to be unionized.
You have full-time jobs.
You're acting like you're working. You're acting like you get up at 4 a.m. and drop 3 miles into a coal mine and you work for 18 hours a day with no oxygen. Like you work a few hours a day, 17, 18 days a year. You don't need to be unionized. And it's just so ridiculous. I would rather where all these NFL stadiums are, I would rather the league officials go to nearby Foot Lockers, get those employees, and have them officiate the game.
You mean like what they did with the replacement refs?
They called the same game.
Should the Division II guys from the camp come back during that strike?
Oh God, that was.
I was gonna say it's like as bad as the refs have been lately. Would they be considered worse than the replacements that we saw a couple years back?
With the touchdown,
it's like we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. But this one we could complain about because they're supposedly the top of the higher level that they should be, and they still do this crap.
But the fact that the ref on the Terry McLaurin play is telling him that yes, you're good. That's a good spot. While holding the flag, like ready, like he's in a Wild West in a duel, ready to pull his gun out. And he throws it right away. Terry McLaurin takes 2 steps and the flag was thrown. For those that don't know, receivers and players, when they come up to the line of scrimmage, are allowed to ask the refs if they are in a good spot or not. And the ref is supposed to tell them, yes, no, you adjust, whatever. And for the ref to basically rip the rug right out of Terry McLaurin and throw the flag like that is absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand it.
I think that the McLaurin issue is worse than this play. Now you got a perfect screenshot of how bad it was, but this is frozen in time, et cetera, et cetera.
The video is so much worse.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is right there saying, "Excuse me, am I in a legal position?" To which the guy says, "Yes, you are." Even if he wasn't in a legal position and it was called by the ref on the other side of the field, it would have been a bad call because I went to the guy and said, am I in a legal position? That's a situation that whatever situation the NFL has to affect a ref, they should use. Whatever punishment they have. I'm not going to tell these guys they shouldn't be in unions, whatever. We did see what happens when we used other refs. Union. So good for them. Let their union go. And this is where the NFL say, well, we need ways to prevent this from happening because it looked horrible on the Sunday night game. And it was such a bad situation because as a player, you need to be able to trust those guys. And I don't think the players can trust that guy now going forward. And that's the bigger issue. You expect phone calls, they're humans. But that is, am I good? And he asked him twice, am I good?
Here's the question now. Last night during all of this, on Twitter, which of course, obviously take that for what it's worth, on Twitter, the hashtag NFL is rigged was trending because there's a lot of complaints about this, because at the end of the day, money talks. And because of this and some of the other things that are out there, there's been questions about whether or not the league is being bought in some ways by certain teams and pushing certain things in different directions. Players have often talked about bad officiating can be the equivalent of an additional player on the opponent's side. So in this case, throwing it out there for funsies, is this a rigged job?
If it was rigged, then we'd be having nothing but Cowboys and Patriots finals every damn year.
Well, we did pretty much have Patriots finals every damn year for a while. Right?
Yeah, but we would also have to see the Cowboys in it constantly, and so
It's been 25 plus years on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. No.
I think for the NFL product, the getting caught rigged is significantly worse than any two bad teams that you could think of making the Super Bowl, because we will watch two teams that we have no interest in playing the Super Bowl more than any other sport. We'll be like, whatever, let's watch. Where, so
That's the only game.
Right, it's the only game in town that day. So they have some advantage there that they don't need to. And I think some of the storylines that we would have seen play out, like either if it's rigged, it ain't by Vince McMahon. Like, you know what I mean? Like Vince McMahon knows how to like make these storylines pop. And there's really some of the best storylines are getting squelched. Now, if there is a team they're going to rig it against right now, though, it is certainly the Washington football team. Like they're like, you ain't winning a game until you sell, right? Like that could be what's happening if you're going to rig it. But
can you rig it? Sorry,
I get so annoyed with this rig talk because it's one thing for people in the NFL offices or league offices. That doesn't matter the league. For business purposes, to maybe want a couple teams to maybe do a little better than others, but that's not rigging. That's just business perspective. That's just like that. But to actually have things put in place to impact things, physically in games, it's hard for me to believe just for that. And because the whole thing where it's like, I hear this all over social media, the NFL is rigged, NBA is rigged, whatever. All that rig talk, that doesn't explain the physics of how the game is played. Like, that doesn't explain, like, how are you supposed to rig footballs being dropped or caught? How are you supposed to rig basketballs, and I get you could, make some rims harder than another, but like when you go a layup, it doesn't matter the rim or the backboard of the ball. Like a basic layup, like it's a layup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't understand that part of how these leagues can affect games and rig games, other than sitting back and saying, I might want, the Packers and the Cowboys to play in the NFC Championship game, and I want the Tom Brady,
Steelers.
Patrick Mahomes AFC champ. I just that's different.
Jacksonville, Carolina, come on.
Yeah.
Like they would have Like they would have had if the NFL the year where it was Jacksonville, New England, and then the other side you had the Eagles and Minnesota, and there was a picture that showed the four quarterbacks, and it was Brady, Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and I don't even remember who the Foles.
Foles, yeah.
Foles, of course. If the NFL was rigged, you think they would want that group of four quarterbacks representing one of their 2 or 3 biggest weekends of the season?
Yeah.
And I get that's just one season out of many.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard for me to really buy into this sport, this league across the divisions and conference. It's all rigged. It's hard for me to believe.
Exactly. It's like it's not rigged. You just got some really crappy refs, and you might get the occasional one that might be bought off, but most of it is just the refs are just garbage.
That's just an excuse. Such an excuse.
Here's the thing. The other thing is the financial risk of rigging the league without the players knowing. That is a powerful enough union that the lawsuits that would come, you cost me. I mean, if you're Matt Ryan, you cost me how much money by rigging that Super Bowl so I lost. in like he could be in all the Matt Stafford, endorsements that we see. Like all those endorsements.
Do you really want to endorse that product?
Well, whatever it would be, like those endorsement opportunities that those players would be losing, and enough of them have enough money that the class action lawsuit would be worth it so then you're saying the players are involved. You have the players, the refs, and the owners involved. And let me tell you, when that many people are involved, the leak that comes out is very solid. Just look at players involved in the Canseco book, right? Like, where is the Canseco book if it's rigged? And then you start going, oh, he's crazy, but facts would, I think, come out. But to Brandon's point, there may be a time when they're like, I really hope that that Brady gets there again. And they said to a ref, and the ref hears it and goes, roughing the passer. There's an opportunity.
Right. So how is that? And how is that different from a tech company being like, man, I wish our 8600 laptop sells great this year. It's our best. It's along that. That's not rigging. That's not like getting into illegal activity, because at that point and things come out and it becomes a legitimate thing. I don't think people understand the fabric of the NFL and how it would crumble. Like this would become one of the biggest Supreme Court cases in history.
Absolutely.
And it would damage the reputation.
And that's what I'm saying. People just throw out, it's rigged. It's rigged. Like, really think about what you're saying if you're going to be like, yes, the NFL is rigged. I think it's just an excuse for bad officiating, bad ownership, terrible play, whatever you're trying to make an excuse for, that's what it is. And in this case, it's bad officiating.
Yeah. And if anything, there is way more of a chance that we will be seeing games being rigged and organizations being corrupt as hell in the other type of football that we all know about,
which is
well documented. Oh yeah, it's well documented. So yeah, and
hell, they advertise it.
Yeah.
I think I saw we're a criminal sign on one of the side, one of the sides there. I mean, they're just.
Yep.
That's next level stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there was a little event that happened this weekend as well in the other football.
Yeah.
As they were a slight event.
Yeah, I think it was something that was
a little one.
It was in the papers, I think. Which, by the way, before we get into this, can we point out both how excited and probably how much Fox was sweating? The fact that this game went right up to 1:00 in the afternoon, and they had the Dallas Cowboys going right after that. On one hand, you're like, "Oh, this is great! It's overtime, it's energy, it's excitement." And then, I'm looking at the clock and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, "They got about 5 minutes here, to get this game
like 12:55."
Yeah, and I was sitting there, it's like, "What are they going to do?" And she's like, "Do you know what they're going to do?" I'm like, "No, they're probably going to stick with World Cup and probably drop a bunch of F-bombs in the process."
Oh, there would have been. It's like, as big as the NFL is, there would have been an absolute riot against them if they cut away from the end of a very, very good, admittedly good World Cup final that went into penalty kicks.
Yeah.
It's like they cut away from that for a Cowboys game. You might get some happy people in Texas. Yeah, you might get some happy people in Texas for the football game, but everyone else would be like, ah!
Yeah.
So on that note, like happy people in Texas. First of all, I suspect they would have put it on FX1, but there was something I was watching. There was a game I was watching. I guess the other game going to overtime. On Thursday. On Thursday, the overtime game. It said there in local markets what channels to go to watch the Baltimore game. So I'm sure Fox had some sort of plan. Your local Fox station will carry the game.
Kyle, I think you're probably right, because the award ceremony for the World Cup was moved over to FS1 to get the Cowboys in. If that game kept going for whatever reason, they might have done the same thing with the Cowboys-Jags, and just for whatever that 5 or 10 minutes to buy the time on that. But the way it works out, the way it segued right from the end of one of the greatest World Cup finals right into America's team, Fox was just like, "Oh, thank you, money gods." Praise here on this one.
Granted,
So-
they couldn't have timed that one better.
But dude, I mean, I wasn't able to catch it until like the start of the first overtime with the schedule, with things. Well, they were with the way they were at the house. But I mean, you look at this. Messi gets gets 2 goals and the first penalty kick. Mbappe gets a literal hat trick, and it was something, like I said, I think 50 years from now they will still pull from this game and be like, this was incredible, because this thing was right down to the edge. It was the comeback on this, Mbappe getting that 3rd goal with the penalty kick, and a lot of World Cups are done in the first 25 minutes. 3-4 goals cruise. Argentina, when they beat Croatia, that was just a cruise game. This was not. This was edge of your damn seat.
It almost looked like it was going to be a cruise game at first, and then, as you mentioned, but then Mbappe was like, no, I'm not losing. I'm not giving up right now. He basically did it himself and essentially tied the game once. Then they went behind again in extra time, which I'm sure JD has some words to say about how the game keeps going after the goal.
I was never big on that personally, but yeah. Go ahead.
But and then he comes back with yet another goal, and then it goes off to another penalty kick, which in a tournament of penalty kicks, it seems, it was a very uncharacteristically fantastic match. And not only that, rather than having like a side player being the hero or like a bit player scoring a goal, this one actually had the headliners being headliners on both sides. You couldn't have scripted that better.
Yeah.
Dare I say rigged?
We have our chat, and our chat said 2-0. Oh yeah, I forgot the game's on so early. As did I. But it was 2-0. I was like, oh, okay. So I missed the game. And now I've done nothing but read about this game, because I said, 2-0. And I had seen what they did to Croatia. I was like, oh, they got this underhand. They figured out how to play defense. My only complaint, though, in everything I read is I don't need golden goal. But if you're not going to have a golden goal, then you have to have, if you're tied after one overtime period, another whole overtime period. Like, I know these guys are going to be exhausted, and I know that there's substitute issues, and you can start to say, well, if you get the 3 a substitute, whatever, you can change the rules. If you're not going to go golden goal, then why are you going penalty kicks? Because yes, way too many of these games come down to penalty kicks, and I know as I'm learning to like the game more and more and see what's going on the field more and more, I am learning to hate penalty kicks more and more and more. Like literally, let's play a different game. Like the whole home run derby at the end of a baseball game story. It makes more and more sense not to do it this way the more I watch.
Which do you prefer, penalty kicks or ties?
So in the regular season, I'm okay with ties.
Okay.
But I'm also okay in the regular season with, if you're doing like hockey, where you can go to penalty kicks. So the winner gets 2, the loser gets credited with the tie, but somebody gets the extra point.
Yeah.
In a tournament scenario, you can't have a tie, so just keep full periods or golden goal.
Hockey does it well. I will absolutely agree with that. And I know JD has said his piece on how he hates how soccer plays, but it's like they should pull from hockey in that, goal, if it in extra time or overtime, golden goal, and if it's still tied, then I could understand maybe like a shootout or the penalty kicks or something like that. But yesterday when I was talking with them, I was saying, it's like, okay, we just keep doing extra time until they drop, but every 15 minutes each team loses a player.
Like I said, with hockey, I mean, the fact that they go from 5-on-5 to 3-on-3 makes it very open-ended. What if you had overtime be 7-on-7, which is roughly the same percentage in this case? That would open up the game immensely on that. And then golden goal again. Please.
I would say
point. No, finish what you're gonna say, Kyle.
It was more of a joke, but I was gonna say, it's like, if it goes to penalty kicks, have the coaches do it.
Here, or get an idea.
These are the better
really want to shake up. We're going to shake up the extra time here. completely reversed the sport. Can't use your feet, and you can only run around if you don't have the ball. Throw it and pass it to another guy and move to another spot and move them on. Essentially play handball.
That's ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's ultimate frisbee.
No, you know what though? Again, me having the vast knowledge of football that I have, it really was a great game. I did think it would have been more of a defensive effort on both sides, and it was for a little bit, on one side at least. But then it got exciting. It got, I don't know, and it really it felt almost Super Bowl-ish. Like it really, and again, I don't adamantly remember as well 4 years ago, but I feel like we were way more into it this go round this year than we were 4 years ago. Especially with US not being, I mean, we made it to the knockout stage, but we didn't get far, of course. But I felt like our interest kind of was still there for the most part. I mean, obviously there is some drop off when your home nation is out of our tournament as big as this. I just, again, once, and even me for really being the non-soccer fan that I am, getting down to the semifinal and the final round of the World Cup, like I get pulled into it. And it felt like super, super, Super Bowl-ish.
It's all Final Four, basically.
Yeah, it really, and again, to Kyle's point, with having Messi and Mbappe be the headliners that they were in the performances, I mean, it really was a sporting event that really is one of the greatest ever.
So,
Obi, then I got something of my own.
Yeah, so to Brandon's point, I definitely think more people were into it. I think it had to do with Messi. People know who he is. And there were just enough super casual soccer fans who were able to watch it because it was on at the right time, and then watch this guy. And watching him and watching America, you could see, oh yeah, this guy is better than, like, you didn't have to be a super soccer fan to see, oh yeah, this dude is better than any of the dudes I saw on America. So you got it instantly. So Messi, I think, drew Americans who don't watch in, because when you can see a guy is that much better, you want to see what that's all about. I had a friend who I didn't think had ever watched a game of soccer, kept going, is Messi a Jedi? This dude's a Jedi. Like, he was just a non-sports fan. And then you combine it with the time it was on. For the most part, 1 PM, even 7 AM is times when people, especially with the luxury of working from home, you can have the game on and work from home at the same time. And I think that really did propel American soccer viewership up another notch. I think you are sensing something correct, Brandon. I'd love to see the numbers on it, but I feel that I sense that people who were not into sports were watching it, and then the soccer fans were pushing it because it was so exciting, and it was Messi, a name everybody knows, right? I mean, he is more famous than Tom Brady. You've said it a lot of times when you see Brady with international people. He ain't that famous compared to international sports athletes. And this is one of those times it's like, yeah, we all know this dude. We've all heard this name.
Cool. So thank you as always. I appreciate it. We'll be back again. Same bad time, same bad channel. I'm Scott. That's Kyle Krieger. Appreciate it. Obi Spencer, thank you as always. Brandon, thank you as always. Take care. And as always, stay awesome.